I want to welcome Ross, Josh, and Chris today. And we're going to step into talking about each of your journeys in connection with Reiki and the journey to stepping into a Reiki class and what that has done for each of you and wanting to share with the audience. So I want to start with you, Ross, and want to welcome you.
Thank you.
And Ross, how did stepping into Reiki shift your understanding of your own energy and how you show up in the world today?
Yeah. I think my first thought process or my understanding shifted in a sense of actually protecting my own energy, like bubbling up my vessel, which I now do on a daily basis. And it's also shifted like frequencies in the sense of more of a positive outlook, more optimistic outlook, just looking for the good in people. So just look at people differently. Typically feel like they're carrying more or burdening more. I just feel like I see things differently. And I've always been empathetic. Um, I think Reiki can just really enhance those qualities. You just have to, like, being empathetic, you just have to know how to protect yourself. As you know, we're all energy. So my understanding is just evolved to just a larger knowing.
And when you say protect your energy, and we talk a little bit about this in the class, and I talk about it in general with a lot of the stuff that I teach. And I would say when you're talking about protection or protecting your energy, is it more about your awareness of where you bring your energy and who you surround yourself with and how that affects you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, entirely. Yeah, knowing, if something doesn't feel right or something feels off, like even just let's say you're walking down the street and you're pulled to the left, kind of go with the pull because there's probably something on the right that might not be inviting.
Right.
Um,
And it's interesting when you start the class or when we step into a class, and I know when I stepped into my Reiki class, um, it's almost this just amplified awareness. And
yes,
I find it's that quiet conversation you have with yourself that you have to, because people are like, "Are you talking to yourself?" And I'm like, "I kind of am."
completely.
Right? You're like, I'm just sorting things out because the perspective and your perception does change in a way that perhaps those closest to us don't have that same awareness. And so it's that back and forth. It's this delicate dance of honoring what's just shifted for you, and how some things just stay the same for many people around us, and it's trying to navigate that.
Yeah,
So I appreciate that you bringing up around the protection of the energy and what that kind of looks like going forward. So
yeah. I would even add you notice, like, you notice the people around you and their energy, and it's like that level up. Like you don't want to go down to a lower frequency. You're on that. You have the awareness of kind of where everybody shifted energetically. Um,
mhm.
if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
totally makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. And it's we start to I find that this also allows us to have a deeper degree of patience with others. And sometimes we can have impatience with others because we want to say, come on, do you want to hear about this and like what's going on? And sometimes they're just not in that space. I understand. All right, awesome. Ross, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, your turn. So how did stepping into Reiki shift your understanding of your own energy and how you show up in the world today?
So Reiki for me was an incredible experience. It wasn't all that long ago for me. I'm now just a few months um, level one and level two attuned. And I'll say first off, there were some nerves going into it. I think for others out there who might be thinking, is Reiki for me? Like that's natural. And I had to prepare myself that I was going to go sit with a group of people, and I was going to let myself open up and experience, anything that came my way, and see it as a way to connect with other people in a way that I had never connected. So at first, it was like, okay, get yourself there, get yourself comfortable, and then go with it. the experience for me was really powerful, and I think we talk a lot about energy work, energy healing. For me, being in a Reiki class like that was it makes it like tangible, because in the class you can actually feel it. And when you're doing Reiki, or when you're having Reiki performed on you, energy takes a new shape and a new feel, and it really opened my eyes to the power of not just positive thought, not just how I point my energy and where I go, but rather there is this energy force that is around us, that can be felt, that can be consumed, that can be sort of understood at a whole new level. And it's allowed me to just really start to think about how I control it, how I think about it for myself and others as I've exited Reiki, and what that gives me in terms of, I like what Ross said, in terms of like this control and understanding, that energy is something that I can feel.
Mm,
Whereas in the past, it was more something that I just thought.
mm.
Um, Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that feeling you just talked about and how we feel things, and I think it's something that is to be experienced from the minute, we all walk into a class, and I can say that from my own experience, that you don't know what to expect. You come into a class, you're like, what's this energy stuff that we're going to be doing? Like Reiki, okay, what is this? And we have the class handouts and all the things that are happening, but what starts to unfold in a class, and you see it happen, is this shift. And I see this shift in the class because there's this sense of a quieting of the individuals, where there's less space for words and speaking, and it's all about the feeling. Because how do we process that? You start to feel something in a way that perhaps you didn't feel the moment you walked in, but you take away that sense of feeling that is hard to put into words, right?
Yeah, extremely, and it sort of opens up new emotions. And for me, it absolutely has. In terms of the second part of your question, and how I show up, and it's adjusted. I went into Reiki with a lot of feelings of, I would say, confusion, and I don't want to say anger, but there was just, I'm dealing with a lot at the present moment, and I exited feeling a lot calmer, a lot more sort of at ease and at peace, but it introduced new components that I wasn't ready for. Feelings of sadness, feelings of, new emotions that I had to deal with, that I felt like was truly the energy in me shifting. And I think it's all part of the healing, but it certainly has opened my eyes to some of the work that I still need to do, as I go out and seek and find, the best version of myself. So, yeah, and I guess the last thing I'll say is, it's brought me, um, to sort of new conversations with my kids, and we talk about Reiki now, and they know what it is, and it's a really, really, cool conversation to have with them in terms of energy at 8 and 10 years old, to help them start to understand it, even if at just sort of an 8 and 10 year old level. It's really, really fun.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, there are so many places to share this work with others and those closest to us when they're ready, and in small bits and pieces. And I just want to add this before I go on to Chris, but you bring up about how Reiki does bring to the surface a lot of emotions that we may not be ready to deal with. And as we are stepping into something such as a healing attunement and a Reiki attunement, coming into a class like that, we have to also always talk about a healing crisis, which, in order for things to heal, they have to sometimes get they have to get worse before they get better. And so that healing crisis is to expect the stuff to come to the surface. And sometimes it's not very pretty, it's messy, and to be prepared for that. And I always find that the deeper the emotions we're experiencing, the deeper the healing that is taking place, but it just won't feel that way at the time. And so the responsibility to understand that things are going to come up to the surface, and it doesn't mean we have to deal with them right then, but they're there, and it's as though they're waiting for us when we're ready. And I find Reiki, when we step into that space, allows us to handle those emotions with a bit more ease and nurturing, and not a sense of feeling fearful. That's what I have found. The comfort and that energy of Reiki really helps support us in that space to go through, to handle those emotions. But Josh, thank you for sharing. Yeah. Chris, welcome.
Hi, Ann.
So good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Glad to be here.
So, how did stepping into Reiki shift your understanding of your own energy and how you show up in the world today?
The only way I can really explain it is it's very hard to put words to it. Um, much like Josh and Ross, when I came into this, I really had no expectation. I had signed up for the class. I walked in. I had had a lot of stressful things going on in my life with work, and to take those 2 days and to shut my phone off, I had some trepidation about that, but I was like, okay, I'm all in. I have to focus. Um, and that first morning, as I was driving to the studio, I had about a 40-minute drive, and I just felt myself like take this nosedive into this place of calm and peace. And when I walked in, I didn't know anybody. And um, immediately, it was just as if the whole world stripped away. And I've always been able to feel energy. I've known when spirits around and things like that. And I didn't really fully understand and wasn't fully aware of what I was feeling, though, I think. And so once we sat down and, we talked through some things, I started to get a little better understanding, and then through meditation and the attunement process. And then it was just the wow moment. Uh, the meditation presented things to me that, kind of like Josh talked about, it stirs things up. Um, and and it made me look at things differently. And so by the time we were done with the second day, I walked out, and I know I sent you an email like a day later. I was like, I just don't even know what to do with myself. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be like and I went out in the world, and it was as if I was in this bubble, and nothing affected me, no outside factors. So I think it for me, started to help me understand the principles of the law of attraction and those type of things too, because I started to see when I was fully present and aware of myself and the energy that I was putting out, uh, things started coming in. And so it was very powerful to me. And, it definitely changed the way I think about things. I've had scenarios, in my business since then where in the past I would have just been so frustrated and stressed out and not knowing what to do. And I just breathe, and I think to myself, okay, like I know that it's my energy that is going to pull things back into me. And so it's really helped me stay calm in a lot of situations that I wouldn't have been calm in. And in my personal life, my relationship with my kids has always been good, but I am so much more present with them since all of this happened. Like I really have started to check things at the door, and I recognize when I'm starting to go back that other direction, and I catch myself. And the power for me is in the awareness of knowing and seeing it and feeling it and saying, okay, let's take a breath, let's redirect. Um,
Yeah, that's powerful. And you made a comment, and if you want to maybe expand on it, that
sure.
when you left the class, you didn't want to talk to anybody. Can you share a little bit more about that? Because I understand that feeling.
Yeah.
Tell us more a little bit about that.
It's really hard to articulate, but I was so content and happy with myself. I didn't feel like I needed anybody to validate anything in my life. I didn't feel like I didn't want drama coming in. So I didn't want to answer the phone because any phone conversation might have, stirred something up, and I just didn't want to leave the moment. And even, so basically what I did was Saturday morning, I got up and I thought, well, I need to go outside because it's nice out. And it had been raining for a couple of days. And so I took a shower, I jumped in the car, and I thought I'm going to drive to Portsmouth and go walk around. And so I grabbed a coffee, I walked around, and I mean, it just like I didn't really want to talk to anybody. Like I
Yeah,
just was
right.
walking down the street, and I didn't want anyone to mess up my zen.
Right.
That's the biggest part of it, right? I mean, I was like, nobody's messing with this.
Right. Well, I love that you bring it up because it's honest. And I think sometimes we step out of different classes, and there's different types of classes out there. And we're just talking about Reiki right now. And a part of that is you might come home from the class and your partners or your family's like, how was it? How was it? There's just sometimes no words to express what you went through, and to
Right.
take that time to give yourself permission to just be like, I just got to be inward. And that can be new and scary for people that love us. They
Mhm.
can be like, what's going on? And you can really feel things shifting. But what I also notice is you start to give that sense of calm energy, um, and you share that with others, whether they know it or not. You exude that energy in where you take yourself, in your interactions, in the way that you show up. And so it's like you lead by example.
Mhm.
And then I also find that people just start to get curious, like, they're not reacting like they used to react, or I don't have the response that I usually have.
Yeah.
So sometimes that will provoke their own curiosity to be like, so tell me about this Reiki stuff, what's
Right.
going on. But I love it, Chris. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ross, back to you. So, Ross, in what ways has Reiki supported your relationships with yourself, with others, or even how you connect with the world around you today?
Yeah. It's interesting because I actually love dropping now. There's always a little hesitation from like probably like a fear based, what are they going to think? But
Mhm.
I actually enjoy dropping, I'm a Reiki practitioner now. Um, and the responses are never what you expect. Um, I think it really, what that does is open a door for these conversations you wouldn't expect to have with certain people. Some people have absolutely no clue what it is, and that's totally fine. It's where they're at on their journey. But then, kind of, so what you were just mentioning, people get more curious. And it's like, well, what is this? Like, there's so much more to this. Um, and like I said, I really just enjoy having these conversations because, like, I even caught up with somebody who I used to work with in corporate. And he was like, wait, what? And he was completely like, that's awesome. That's amazing. And come to find out, like, there's some family types to him that have Reiki. And it just opened up a whole nother conversation I would never expect it to have with somebody um, previously. So it's really just being more vulnerable and having more, raw, authentic conversations with people.
Yeah, I love that. And also, it's also who you choose not to share it with, right? And it's not because we don't honor the work and the journey with Reiki, but you also know in terms of where you bring your energy, and that there may not be people ready to talk about it or to receive that or understand it. And so part of our journey too, I found that there's just some conversations you just might talk about the weather or
Yeah.
what you doing
Yeah.
this
Surface
weekend.
level.
Right. And that's okay. But the ones
Yeah.
that you do share that with, because I find that the ones that we can share this work with, it's an invitation to that person for the very first time, just like it was an invitation to us when it was first introduced to us, or the idea of it. It's like you plant the seed, and that's that ripple
Exactly.
effect that is pretty wild. So thank you, Ross. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Josh, in what ways has Reiki supported your relationships with yourself, with others, or even how you connect with the world around you today?
So I want to pick up where you left off, because I've actually found, since Reiki and with a lot of the work that I've been doing, I actually find those surface level conversations to be very annoying. I try to avoid them. It's almost like I want to have a real conversation or none at all, because they seem to take a lot of my energy. So I don't know. That's just something I've become very aware of, since going through the Reiki process. In terms of how I've it's changed sort of my relationships, and I want to echo what Ross said. I've had a conversation very recently with someone who we've been working together for the last year and a half, and had never really chatted about anything, but I just decided to say the same thing. I'm Reiki certified. She goes, "Oh, I'm a Reiki master." And then all of a sudden, we were off on a whole new conversation, one that would never have opened up if I hadn't shared. And it sort of just changes the way that you can connect with people. The other thing I'll add is that it's really um, it's changed the way that I perceive and try to offer grace to other people, in terms of recognizing that they are in their own energetic space, and doing everything they can as sort of given their current level of awareness, and I try to give them that grace and know that everyone is going to evolve at their own pace. And I think that's just the awareness that the Reiki process has given me, and understanding that energy, and understanding how so many things over lifetimes, over this lifetime, can impact who we are today.
Mm.
And it's allowed me to speak with more authenticity. It's allowed me to be more comfortable in my personal self while in the professional setting, and it's just sort of allowed me to, I don't know, be more present, like Chris said, but also with more patience, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah. That authenticity that you talk about. Do you find, Josh, that Reiki and the practice of Reiki has allowed you to just simply step into maybe who Josh has always been?
Um, yeah, yeah, I do. I think that's exactly what it's done, and it's removed a little bit of the fear over. I'm a people pleaser. I over my life, it's always been as much about sort of what other people thought as much as it is what I thought and felt. And since going through this process, I have been able to remove a lot of that. I
Yeah.
have been able to really step into my own, without that concern, and operate more as I feel I am. And it's been really powerful.
And even being able to use the energy of Reiki, say you're sitting at the office and you're going through a moment, as we know that Reiki can be activated instantly as a tool to regulate ourselves in stressful situations. And so I can imagine for you, for all of you, that you're able to understand that Reiki is literally in our back pocket, and understanding to activate that energy to balance and align ourselves when we need to. And nobody around us needs to know that we're activating it, right? Um,
Yeah.
which is the coolest thing ever. So it's really something that is a tool you want to share with everyone and be like, hey, you want to know about something? Like around the water cooler, like you want to hear something really cool.
Yeah.
But then again, and then like you just said, having this conversation with somebody you've worked with, and all of a sudden here's that connection point. So that's wild. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Um, thank you, Josh.
Welcome.
Thanks. Chris, in what ways has Reiki supported your relationships with yourself, with others, or even how you connect with the world around you?
I would have to say that, since the whole experience with Reiki, I feel much more in alignment with myself. And that has come back to me a hundredfold in my relationships with people around me that matter. I think the key is people that matter, because I've always surrounded myself with so many people, acquaintances, let's say, right? They would say, "Oh, hey, I'm his friend," and I have almost done like this house cleaning, because I, much like Josh, I want to have deep conversations with people, and connecting with the guys, and us creating our own thing really has made me feel like I'm more authentic as myself when I talk, when I interact with people. I was always worried about what people would think of me, or in business situations, and I just think my relationships are so much deeper with the people that matter to me. But it's also changed some of my family dynamics, which is interesting, because at first, some of my family didn't know what to do with me, because I wasn't reacting the way I would, or I would shut things down. And it's very fascinating how those relationships are evolving, because I'm seeing changes in my family members and the way they interact with me, and things that they focus on versus things that they don't focus on anymore. It's just really, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But I do feel like I have deeper connections with the people that matter in my life and in my
Mm,
world.
mm,
Um, I even find that with some of my customers and my vendors. We have these conversations about things, and then like I got a note from a couple of my vendors, and they were just like, "We just want you to know how wonderful it is to work with you, and to have you, to talk to you and to run things by." And those are things that make you feel good. You say, "Wait a minute, I am making a difference, and people are noticing." um, that authentic, genuine connection. And to me, that's one of the greatest gifts is like when I get one of those cards, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm just being me and people are noticing.
Right. And
So,
it's not that surface level. You're going deeper, like
right.
Josh was talking about. But you bring up an interesting point, Chris, about when I talked about earlier healing crisis, and I'll talk about it
Mhm.
again. And it's so important to talk about it when we're doing any type of healing work, that as we heal, we can feel as though that we're dying. Like what is happening emotionally, mentally, physically. Our bodies
Right.
will react as the energy is being released from the physical body and out of our energy field. And so we have to address healing crisis. And I also find that healing crisis not only happens to us individually, but it's happening to our relationships and especially with our
Yes.
families. So a healing crisis is taking place outside of yourself with your relationships, and you'll feel as though you're disappointing the people that you love, or they're like, "Who are you?" And there can be this tremendous amount of shame or guilt that we can feel because we just don't align with the same behaviors or things that are expected. And so we have to address the fact that one of the hardest healing crises we go through is through our closest relationships as well. So I wanted to kind of just mention that as you shared that, Chris.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I didn't look at it that way, but it's totally makes sense to me.
So, and that can stop us in our tracks from questioning our path.
Mhm.
So it's really important to identify if you're going through a difficult time and families feeling triggering because, it's hard to let go of what we know, but it's even harder when it doesn't serve us, but it serves other people still. And our
Right.
need to please and to make sure we're holding space, especially for our family. Like I always say, we can love our family, we just don't have to like them all the time. And
Exactly.
and there's our boundary, right? And
Yeah,
it's just it begs the question. So be good to yourselves and be aware of it that the healing crisis is happening, all around us in our environment, not only ourselves. Chris, thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And the last question for each of you, and Ross, I'll go to you. What advice, Ross, would you give to another man and men who might be curious about Reiki but feel hesitant to step into it or to try?
The first three words that come to mind are actually like Nike, just do it. Um, Honestly, just do it. You won't regret it. This will help your individual journey tremendously. It helps with your evolution. But even bigger picture, it helps overall with humanity's evolution as a whole to understand energy as a collective. Um, we all have this gift. And that's the great thing about it is we can all tune into this. It's even something that I wish that like from like maybe like a high school standpoint, it could be associated with curriculum, right? Um, there's so much there that is yet to be discovered for us as like our core human values. So yeah, just step into it. Just take that step. You will not regret it. I promise.
Love that. I love that. And I would say, as I just said that question to you about what advice would you give to other men, and but it's everyone. So it's men, women. It's human beings in that way to rephrase this question. And as you're sharing that, Ross, it's as though what I'm hearing from you, it's like we have to give ourselves permission to feel. And what we're taught, and even at a young age, is how we feel. And for instance, say we're, a teenager in a classroom and a teacher speaks to us a certain way, or there's a behavior from another student that doesn't make us feel great. And that
Yeah.
emotional wound stays with us. And so what do we do with it? We tuck it in there, or, there's trauma going on at home, but we walk into school and we don't let anybody know about that. So that stays within our energy field. And so, as you're saying, if we could introduce this to at younger ages, we empower our younger generations to feel
Yeah.
and to know it's okay to do that, and that's not something that's taught necessarily. And Reiki forces you to feel whether you like it or not. Like that's the thing that you rip the band-aid off, right? Like you're here you go, you're on the train. And
Exactly.
but that it puts you in that place. But thank you for sharing that, Ross. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to have you on this journey and to know that your light is out there for others, holding space um, in this place of healing.
Thank you.
Thank,
Likewise.
thank you. Thank you. Josh,
So,
what advice would you give to other men, to individuals, to humans who might be curious about Reiki but feel hesitant to try it?
So if there's an inkling of curiosity, I would say embrace it, follow it, drop the armor. I think there's this misperception that I don't know of you sort of you go into it thinking what is Reiki? Like what's it going to be like? Is it going to be uncomfortable? Who am I going to be with? It's none of those things. It's, find your local master, find somebody who can embrace you and bring you into it. And then go into it with like zero expectations, and you will be overwhelmed and so excited that you did it. And you'll be very soon one of us telling other people, answering this same question. I think it's something that if you can just go in there curious about it, you're gonna learn about where it came from. There's history, there's learning, and then there's the energetic aspect that comes with it. So I would say, um, follow that thought and explore it, because it's something that you will not regret, and it's something that will it has the power to change your life in so many different ways if you'll let it. And that's why I say drop the armor, because you're going to want to go in just open and willing to experience it and whatever it throws at you, um, but for sure won't be disappointed.
Well, what I'm hearing from each of you as you just shared that, Josh, is, if we could bottle the energy of Reiki, we'd be like, here, you want some? You want to buy this? You want to buy this? But there are really no words. And I think that's the magic of stepping into, whether you have a session with somebody, a Reiki practitioner, you step in to become attuned. And the reason that somebody might come into a Reiki class to be attuned is that this is a tool that you will have for life. It's something that you're giving to yourself and can give to others around you, but it's something of a tool to help navigate this human experience. And as you just said, Josh, that there really are no words after a class because you just have to sit with it. And because there are no words, there's a lot of power in that because it's your own experience of how you're about to change. And you said something interesting that even after a class, and I have found in the emails and the students that I talk to that it takes time to process what you just went through, what just happened in the class. And there can be a healing crisis with that because you really realize that you're no longer who you were when you stepped into that class when you leave later that afternoon, all in the course of like 6 or 7 hours. So it's powerful. Um, and again, that permission to feel, to step into something. And as you step out of that, I find that people will witness you, right? You witness people either staring at you in a different way,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Are you all right?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm great. I'm inward right now." And as Ross, you're laughing right now because it's really hard to put into words. But thank you, Josh, for sharing and
Yeah.
being in this space as well and contributing to others with your light. It's important.
Yeah. Thank you. It's so important and so powerful, like you said.
Thank you, Chris. Um, what advice would you give to other men who might be curious about Reiki or other individuals, men, women, humans, beautiful souls, who might be curious about Reiki but feel hesitant to try it?
I think you just need to do it. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to fear. Go into it with an open mind, and make sure make sure that you're ready to make those changes when I know you don't understand what they are yet because it's an individual thing, but there's going to be a change in you. There's going to be a shift, and uh, go enjoy the process. It's part of the journey, and uh, whether you want to practice and be a Reiki healer and have a business, or if you just want it for your own purposes, for your own understanding. For me, I use it kind of as a balance. I've practiced Reiki on some people, but for the most part, it was for me, to enhance my understanding. But don't be afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
If your inner guidance is telling you go, spirit's calling you, and just embrace it.
Yeah. It's the unknown, right?
Right.
And it's stepping into that unknown that, keeps us also stuck in our lives that we're living. And sometimes we have to step into that unknown to see where it's going to take us. And I really can feel that, Chris, and I appreciate you sharing your voice in this space for others and your experience, which has been so powerful. And the cool thing about it is I knew when you came into that class, I knew something was going to take place for you. But again, as the teacher, I can only watch it unfold. And to see what happened afterwards is the greatest gift, right? It's the greatest gift because we want everybody to be like, here, have some of this, just take it. Like you're going to love it. And it's the most powerful thing to witness and to see in others, and how much we want that for people we love who are suffering, that we say there is another way. But Chris, thank you for your light and all that you're doing to be here to share this with others as well. It means a lot.
Well, thank you, Anne, because, this has all been possible because of Spirit bringing us together and bringing our group together. So I am eternally grateful for that.
Well, thank you so much. And on that note, I do want to kind of put a little plug in there about the group, the three of you, plus we're missing Chase Rosa, who will be on another episode here in a few weeks. But the four of you have created Conversation for Men. And I don't know if one of you just wants to share a little bit about that, but the reason that this was birthed in the group that you guys have brought together was bringing through conversations and experiences such as this to connect with others. So I don't know if one of you would like to share a little bit about that before we wrap up. But Chris or Ross or Josh, just want to jump in?
Sure, I can talk about it. So, all of us were looking for something. And individually, we had all talked to Anne and said, there's got to be other men out there. Ross and I had met in our Reiki 2 class. So we had met, but not really got to know each other that well. And so, thank you, Anne, for making sure that four of us got together in your studio and just had a conversation. And really, from four of us like-minded men sitting around talking about things that really mattered to us in a way that was not surface, and you guiding our conversation and sort of giving us a little direction to see what it could be, we created the Conversation for Men. And we are currently recording podcasts. And the goal really is to just drop the armor, to be our authentic selves, and to have conversations that really matter. Nothing is surface with us. We dive right in. We are completely vulnerable with each other. It's been great. I mean, we're excited to launch our new podcast and see where this is going to take us. But it's we talk about energy, family, relationships, finances, all the things that most people don't want to talk about. And so we're going deep with that.
I love that. And in such a safe space. And I'm sure through the journey of what you guys are creating, there'll be more offerings with that. And I hope to be a supporter with that, whether we're looking at retreats for men. I'm going to be offering Reiki for men in the fall, as well as intuitive psychic development for men in the fall, and really trying to hone in to create that safe space of just coming together and creating that acceptance and permission to have these conversations, to have these experiences. And each of you brings an aspect of yourself to this and to what you guys have created with the Conversation for Men, which I admire. And again, we are missing Chase Rosa to be a part of this group. He's usually he's one of the four. And knowing that all four of you want to go there and want to offer that space for others to talk and to have conversations. So I want to thank each of you for stepping into that space and creating it for others. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you, Ross, Josh, and Chris for being here today. I think we're going to have many more of these conversations that I'm looking forward to. I appreciate each and every one of you and the voice and the energy that you bring to me in this space, but mostly for others, and how important it is. So again, thank you for being here today. And I will put in the show notes for how people can connect to each of you, and also for the Conversation for Men as well.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Fantastic.
And be well.
All right.
Thanks, Anne.
Thanks, Anne.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
You too.
Take care.